You're going to get a few scrappy frames over the best of 19. Both players just easing into this final. It's not always easy as it was made to look last night. 147 first shot. But it was important for me, for Neil, to make a good start today. Just lay down the law to Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Yeah, because Robertson was the opponent in another great Sullivan moment, the 1000th century, back in 2019 in Preston, the Players' Championship final, the last frame, and actually the last shot O'Sullivan played, he sort of played an exhibition shot, went in off, and that meant Neil won the high break, which he was particularly happy about. High break prize, I think it was 10,000. But you can't get caught up in the show, can you? You know, he's there as of right, he wants to win the tournament. Frankly, who's playing, he's neither here nor there. Fancy him to win the opening frame now with black available. Just needs a couple more reds.
$31.
Well, he still needs this red to disappear. 67 ahead, 67 on, as you can see. Bit of a stretch. May need the long stuff out to reach this one too. He could just put all his attention into potting this red, just dropping it in.
$39.
That'll do nicely on the black, so should be in Robertson's frame now. And he has got a history of dominating finals. He's the only player to have won on 2 occasions 2 session ranking finals by way of whitewash. He did so last season against Stuart Bingham, 10-0 in Hong Kong, the World Grand Prix. Beat Joey Long 9-0 previously at the European Masters. I'm not saying it's going to be that today, obviously, but he can, when he gets his confidence up, run away with matches. They've not actually met for 3 years, the Hong Kong Masters. 2022 was the last meeting. That was the best of 11. There was 5 centuries of it.
52. $53. $60.
Well, there is actually just enough on for a century here.
$61.
Well, do well to make it now, but he's dominated the frame. Sullivan not polling the ball. Still trying, still would like to keep it going somehow. Little trick shot. Oh, what an effort this is.
69.
Oh, what a shot that he's played there. Getting round to have a look at it, using the side spin to just turn that red over. Brilliant shot from Neil. Can he keep this break going and make the century? Oh, he's had a terrible contact on the black.
$76.
Yeah, this is nasty now over the top of the black. Oh, some people starting to applaud him on the green as well. Anyway, it's a great start for Neil Robertson. 76, so we're off and running in the final. The Saudi Arabia Snooker Masters. Robertson leads 1-0.
Cue ball round, and he's played it well, but he has pushed the red over the right corner. But he has got cover. Didn't want to flirt with that red on the right side cushion, so chose a different route for the cue ball. The only danger with this shot is you're guaranteed to bring reds into the open. Never quite sure where they're going to finish, but a good enough cue ball to keep it tight. Now Neil has the problem with that red over the right corner pocket. How does he go about covering it? Is he eyeing up this long red to left corner? Trying to find the gap past the black. He did do. There's a lot of balls moving there, but ultimately the red he attempted didn't go in. Tough pot, made even tougher by the fact that the cue ball was always heading into danger.
So it's a chance for Sullivan to just get his arm going and get involved in this final.
One.
It's his 65th in a ranking event, looking to extend his record to 42 titles. Last one that he won was the 2024 World Grand Prix. That's interesting because in the semi-final there, he played outstandingly against Ding Junhui.
8.
That was a real top-level performance. And then in the final, he started slowly, went 4-0 down to Judd Trump, but he did win 10-7 in the end. You've got to be happy with, how things have gone here, because of course he didn't play for most of last season. He did get to the semis of the World Championship without really hitting top form, but been a completely different story here.
$60.
He's spoken a lot this week about his concentration and focus, and you know, at times in the past we have seen
17.
Ronnie O'Sullivan maybe not as dialed in as perhaps need to be to play top class snooker. He hasn't struggled with that this week. It's clearly something that he's made a conscious effort to do, and he's going to have to do exactly the same today. And this is going to be a big effort.
24.
Really wants to try and win this frame at this visit if he can.
$25. $30. $31.
Just looking at how best to go about this contribution now. A couple of reds that are loose from the main cluster. Just needs to plan his route. He always look to play into a big area, Ronnie. Very rarely plays for single balls. Always wants to leave himself options if he can.
$35.
Just maximises the area of which he's got into play. And potting this red, it releases a little bit of access to another two potentially.
$36.
Now he's got up a little low on this black. Just wonder if he'd be tempted to go into the main cluster of four, get them all into play. Perfect.
43. $44.
Just a slight bit of doubt about that one, but it dropped, and now everything is where he wants it. Yeah, just caught that near Jill, didn't it? But it dropped.
50.
Would it be too much to ask to have a final like last year, which is just a brilliant spectacle, wasn't it?
51.
Yeah, it seems unlikely that it would be as dramatic as that, but once again we've got two great players going head to head. It could quite easily happen. I do feel like this game will be close, purely because of the style of both. They like to attack, and I think when it bubbles up this match and really gets going, it will be blow for blow.
$56. $57.
He's done very well here, Ronnie, to keep this break going in the fashion in which he has. worked it out really well.
64.
And he, right from shot one, he clearly wanted to win this frame at this visit, so
65.
kept that intensity at a focus high.
So this is frame ball, and the crowd acknowledge that.
70.
31 years and 261 days since he won his first ranking title, the UK Championship,
71.
1993. It's completely unprecedented, this level of longevity. Never seen it before. Of course, his contemporaries, Mark Williams and John Higgins, both winning big titles.
78.
Last season, Mark was in the World Final.
17.
Heard a lot actually last couple of years. We need to move on from the class of 92. Well, the problem is they haven't moved on.
And actually, we don't want them to move on either, because we lose evenings like we had last night. That was special, and only this man could produce that.
85.
Some sort of double to continue towards the century. Not quite, but he's answered Neil Robertson's capture the opening frame by dominating the second, the break of 92 after Robertson's 76. Good stuff already here in Jeddah, the final level at 1 each. Playing in the final to win it.
There's been a couple of long ones from Neil that have gone really astray so far in this match, usually so dangerous from distance. This one was another that never really threatened the pocket, an absolute mile away.
Well, there you see 0 for 5. That's a bit of a concern early on because it's such a important part of his game, an advantageous part of his game in terms of getting in frames. And of course, then it's a question of, well, what do you leave if you do miss? Let this chance. And that's middle of the pocket from Sullivan.
Yeah, that was really nicely cued from Ronnie. That will make him feel good. What will also make him feel good is seeing his opponent, Neil Robertson, miss long balls in the fashion in which he has done so far. Once again, Ronnie's not just analysing his own game out there, he's analysing the opponent, looking for those signs of weakness, and Neil has shown slight signs with his long game.
4.
Of course, it can all turn around so quickly, these guys that can just click into action at any given moment. We're just looking for any sort of edge out there.
Ronnie Sullivan. 4.
Well, as wild as the initial long red from Neil was to right corner, the blue there from Ronnie to the yellow pocket was once again an absolute mile away. Barely hit the jaws.
One.
Yeah, and blue's gone safe. Pink and black aren't great either, so going to have to start opening things up to really build a nice break here.
Three. 4.
Well, the three high value colours all tied up in amongst those reds. So until Neil can get one or a few of them into play, this isn't a great chance. Made an attempt there. No movement to the blue, really. So once again, it looks as if it's going to be back up for baulk colour.
Seven.
Might have to try and play a little clever shot at some point here, Neil. He's maybe looking at the red just right of the pink into the right corner pocket. That way, landing on it, there would be a chance to maybe flip the red away from the black. Went elsewhere, and once again, he's not landed ideal here, but what he has done is he's made the blue available at least for a couple of shots' time. It's been hard work, this break, for 11 points so far. There's been a lot of distance travelled with that cue ball. Can Neil get at least one of the high value colours back on its own spot and inflict more damage to this scoreboard quickly? Once again, taking a chance to go into them, try and move more into play.
14.
Well, he's looking at the plant. The blues are now available. We can get that back on this spot, and then things just start to open up a little.
I just wonder if the angle that he's going to pop this plant, he may can flip the red away from the black in the process and guarantee himself on the blue. I think that is an option. I can't see why he wouldn't play that if he feels like it can't go wrong. He's got to hit the right side of the first red slightly as he's looking at it to just turn over the other one. That then sends the cue ball into the red next to the black. Blue sitting waiting.
15.
Nicely played, and within just a couple of shots there, he's completely opened up this frame. The black also pops past the other red too, so what a good chance this is now for Neil. He's worked hard to get to this point.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of list the value of breaks, but of course every break is different, you know, and sometimes you really have to work early on to develop the balls and give yourself the chance to then go on and win the frame. That's what he's done here.
Yeah, in some ways, this type of break gives you more satisfaction. When they're all there, you kind of expect to knock them in, but when they're not, when there's problems to be solved, as there has been in this contribution from Neil Robertson, this will make him feel really good if he can convert it to a frame-winning chance. Still plenty of work to be done, and because he worked so hard off the baulk colours for so long, he's only 19 points in front at the moment.
$29. 36. 37.
Well, this would be his 16th pot on the break to take it to 44. But he's kept it going, that's the key thing. And the black struggles in.
43.
Well, Neil was clearly convinced that that black was going in. He was already looking at the contact of the red ball before the black had dropped. It really has been a very intricate break, this from Neil Robertson. He's taken these really well.
53.
Well, blue will put him 54 in front of 51 on. Won't be the highest break of the week, but it's been really well made.
$58.
Just make sure of this one. World Grand Prix final 2021, where O'Sullivan beat him. There was a frame in the first session where Ronnie O'Sullivan needed 2 snookers and he got them. He won the frame and he turned the final. But he won't be getting any here, and there is enough on for a century. It's a better chance now, isn't it, than in the first frame?
Yeah, Neo's one of these players that he'll always chase down the century if he can, if there's enough on, and this will be no different. Keeping his focus right to the end to try and get this ton.
67.
Well, he needs 9 more to get to 1,000, so that's coming in the next couple of tournaments.
$73. 74. 81. 83.
This most definitely the sort of break that will make Neil Robertson feel really good. There's no doubt about it. He's had to work very hard for it, and he's unlocked this frame really nicely.
Look at the colours there, 3 yellows, 3 greens, a brown, a couple of blues. Had to do a lot of mileage early on, a lot of shoe leather on the cue ball early on, going down for bulk colours, but he opened things up superbly. And he's carried on superbly. First century of the final coming up. You get the feeling it won't be the last.
101.
It's Neil Robertson's 10th of the season, and it takes his career tally to 992. That was superb.
108.
Really well made break that from Neil Robertson. A clearance of 108, and he's back in front in Jeddah, leading Ronnie Sullivan 2-1. To say, you're looking in these multi-session matches to win each mini-session. If you do that, you win the match. So if you could just take a 3-1 lead, you're more than satisfied. The real battle's going to come tonight, but of course he wants to put himself in a position where the pressure's on O'Sullivan to make some sort of comeback.
Yeah, this afternoon, this session is all about positions. Where are the players going to be going into that final session tonight? You want to try and get as much of an advantage as you can. Of course, Neil Robertson in this little mini session is guaranteed to be level, chance to lead at the mid-session interval. Ronnie's had a couple of long reds similar to the one that he's just attempted that he's missed thin, just floating them into this right corner pocket. The long game from both so far today hasn't been quite as good as we might have expected. Of course, there's still time. The scoring's been good once they've gotten in. Again, another nice line with the cue ball there, the safety shot from Neil. But he may have left the red to left corner. If had it have ran on a fraction further, this wouldn't have been available. This time Ronnie misses the long red thick, so he's been a little bit thin, a little bit thick on a few of the long reds so far today. Not yet quite found that peak accuracy that we saw last night. And worse yet, he's left an easy starter for Neil.
Yes, Alan McManus has a phrase, give me the man who played well yesterday. And it's going to be hard for O'Sullivan to replicate that level. But he's going to have to find a certain level to stay with Neil Robertson. Can't afford to be handing him chances because we know what a confident player Robertson is. Kind of lives for days like this. Neil Robertson really feels comfortable on the big occasion.
Yeah, because we saw it earlier on in the week, didn't we? Jiazing Tong didn't think he could play any better than he did against me. He should have been 5 centuries in a row, and I think Chris Wakefield would have been delighted to have seen him play that well. Of course, he played him in the next round and got the victory. It's very tough to keep that high level of performance consistently. And even just a slight dip compared to the previous day, it can look like a bigger contrast. Of course, the level is still very high. But Neil looking strong so far. You feel that break in the last was really, really good.
40.
And already with a half decent chance here in the fourth.
50.
Very nicely played.
22.
Yeah, this is an orthodox start to a potential frame-winning break, and what a chance it is now to go 3-1 in front.
Again, there was no hesitation there. Everyone sat watching can clearly see that that was always the shot, and Neil himself knows it. Straight into the reds. There was loose reds, but get into them, get them open. Because this is when he's at his most dangerous. When the balls are spread like this and he's heavy scoring. Now the first few shots from here are just going to be key, just for Neil to find his way back in now the reds are nicely spread. Just a little concerned with that red by the left side cushion as to where the cue ball is going to come to rest when it pots this red. Doesn't want to be hampered. And that's why he chose not to play for the black.
Well, he could have been nicer on this, couldn't he? And of course, everything's waiting. If he were to slip up. Yeah, he just took his time on it, didn't he? Just made sure he was comfortable on the shot. Was introduced to snooker by his dad, who finally got to see him at a tournament, didn't he, last year? The English Open, he came over. But he ran a snooker club in Melbourne, and he spent a lot of his childhood there. And turned professional first when he was 16. He actually flew over to the UK at 16 to have a go at the ranking events. He was, in retrospect, kind of too young, too raw, but he stuck at it. And of course, had to make massive sacrifices because he'd not been home that many times to see his family in Australia.
$35. $36.
Yeah, it's tough for the UK players in particular to really appreciate what the overseas players go through. Of course, there's so many very talented Chinese players on the tour now. We've got players from all around the world. Thailand, Australia. There's a lot of sacrifices they have to make that the UK players don't really appreciate, because predominantly the tour is based in the UK. Of course, the tour is global, but a lot of the qualifiers and the events that are played behind closed doors to get to the main venues are all played in the UK. So it's a big deal what these guys go through.
Yeah, when Neil first came over to the UK, it was very expensive to phone home, and there was no sort of Zoom or Skype. We had to go to the internet cafe, type out a message home, then the next day come and read the reply, and then type it. And that's how it was. It was very difficult at a young age, anyway. As I say, he stuck at it, and now look at him.
Yeah, and once again, he's worked this chance really well, Neil. Got the reds open early, and there's been a couple of little moments in this break so far that things could have maybe gone wrong. They haven't. And now looking to put the finishing touches to what's been a good little mini session for the Australian. This becomes our fourth half century of this match already, so as we predicted, the scoring boots of both are on.
$55. $56. 63.
So, 2 more pots required to take it 3-1 into a lead. But it's not just that, it's bang on it here, Robertson.
Yeah, he's looking really good, isn't he? The body language is always good of Neil Robertson. He stands tall out there. He really does prance around the table and gives off that aura of confidence. And he is looking confident. And I'm sure he wouldn't like the mini interval to arrive here. He'd quite like to stay out there. Continue on with this momentum, but great start and a 3-1 interval lead is exactly what he would have hoped for.
Yeah, you've got to certainly stay with Sullivan in the early stages of a long match. He's such a good front runner, but now it's Ronnie Sullivan who needs to find something in the next 4 frames. Just that 192 to show for his efforts so far. Still a long way to go, but advantage the Melbourne man. And now we know, of course, he's going to be going all out to make another century.
$74. $81.
Not to be for the century unless this red finds its way, which is not going to into the pocket, but a fine start from Neil Robertson. Breaks of 76, 108 and 81. Ronnie O'Sullivan and 92. It's been fluent. They've been playing just an hour. Neil Robertson leads 3-1. During the interval, we'll be hearing from the legendary referee Jan Bass, who's announced his retirement.
Stephen Holworth. So the first 4 frames concluded here in this final of the Saudi Arabia Snooker Masters, and it's advantage Neil Robertson 3-1. He leads the Rocket Ronnie O'Sullivan. That mini session very much about jostling for positions, and Neil looking very strong. There was a big frame 3. Ronnie O'Sullivan missed that blue to the yellow pocket when there was a chance to get nicely in and get going once again. Neil Robertson crafted a really nice break of 108 and then pressed home in the final frame, so 3-1 to the Aussie. The scoring has been good from both, as we would expect. There's been a few long balls that have gone astray, which we're so accustomed to seeing them find the back of the leather. I think Ronnie in particular will not be concerned, but he'll want to put that right sooner rather than later. Kenny can't afford to let Neil get too far ahead in this match. He's a great front runner himself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it just shows you, every day is different in sport, and the way Sullivan played yesterday, I mean, he even admitted he may not play like that again, but of course the standard of the opposition has gone up as well, and Neil is punishing mistakes from Ronnie O'Sullivan and creating his own opportunities. Not a good long red, okay, this time no colour to follow, but we're keeping it tight. He's playing a perfect game at the moment, Neil Robertson.
Yeah, Robertson.
And he looks very confident. It's a fascinating final, isn't it? It really is. Both players in wonderful form, one chance, frame over. And these little sort of battles of, the little safety battles are so important as well. You're not knocking reds out, you're not giving opportunities for long balls. You've got to keep it so tight.
Yeah, it's a balance as well, isn't it? Finding that line between the aggressive play and the high breaks that we come to expect from both, but not pushing the boat out too much and giving away cheap chances, which, as you say, Neil Robertson has done perfectly well so far.
Oh, wow. Overcut it. And I think he's left it.
Straight
straightforward red, but you know, every time. Actually, have a look at this again. Bit of a stretch as well, but every time the red is in the middle of the pocket, it's not always straightforward getting it out. Now you see the problem.
What?
It looks straightforward, but it's not, because you've got to impart a lot of side to get away from the knuckle of the pocket. That is exactly what can happen. Ronnie was a look of disgust with the shot as he came down towards the cue ball. He's trying to get a load of right hand side on it, but there you see it. It's difficult. Oh, shot. It's gone close.
8. Foul. Miss.
Well, that safety shot he was alluding to a few moments ago, trying to find the thin edge, not push reds into play. Ronnie clearly there, trying to catch the paintwork of that red, use the side spin to manipulate the angle off the cushion. He's missed the red completely. So a chance for Neil now maybe to pile a little bit of pressure on Ronnie with a telling safety.
Yeah, just looking at that red, the extreme red on the right hand side of the pack. Surprised he's not having a look at that, maybe to try and pot it. Maybe he feels that the cue ball will be going close to the black. It's uncertain where he can get around the back of it, but it looks pretty straightforward from here. But he doesn't like it. Neil knows his safety has got to be spot on. He's got to keep Ronnie Sullivan in that long grass, near that ball cushion as much as possible.
Yeah, of course, these top operators looking for any sort of weakness out there. Ronnie did so yesterday against Wakeland, said in his interview, was just looking for that one moment where Chris Wakeland showed him that maybe he wasn't up to the task, or a mistake came in from nowhere. They're both looking for that here. The long game, certainly the pot success from distance hasn't been as you would expect. Ronnie at 4 from 8, 50%, Neil down at 33%, which is really low for these two brilliant long potters. But in the same breath, the scoring side of this match so far has been very good. One thing that's been evident from Neil Robertson, just from these first 4 frames, is that he's going to graft hard today. You can just tell. Every shot is a pint of blood for Neil. The break in the third was exceptional. He worked off bought colours for a long old time before he really opened up the business end. And why wouldn't you give everything? What a huge occasion this is, a massive match for both.
Yeah, another telling safety shot from Neil Robertson. Tapping the table from Ronnie Sullivan. May have an edge on the red down the left hand side, just past the blue, left of the black. Well, it was good connection on the red, but he knocked the red towards that corner pocket. But that was a delightful little kiss for Ronnie O'Sullivan on the brown, because otherwise he would have left that red that's close to the bottom right corner pocket. Now, problem for Neil is he's got to try and hide that red as well. It's a good target behind brown and green. He's come up the other side. Yellow would be pretty good as well. He's playing some good safety, really good match.